There was a young girl who lived near a church. Her older brother was a mischievous boy and was always trying to frighten the girl in a variety of ways. Eventually, she became so accustomed to his tricks that nothing could scare her. Every time she saw something strange, she assumed it was her brother, up to his tricks again. One day, the girl's mother sent her out with the family's washing and told her to hang it up in the churchyard to dry. The church had a small cemetery in the yard. When her basket was empty, she looked up and saw a figure dressed in white from head to toe, sitting on a tomb. Most kids would have fled in fear, but this little girl was not in the least bit alarmed. She believed it was just her brother playing a trick on her, as usual. So she ran up to the white figure and shouted, "You can't scare me." With that, she pulled the white cap off its head and ran home. On her way home, to her astonishment, she met her brother who was walking in the opposite direction. She looked down at the piece of cloth in her hand and found it was a moldy white cap, half full of earth from the graveyard and wriggling with decaying worms and maggots. The next morning, people who lived in the area were all talking about the ghost they had seen in the cemetery near the churchyard. They said it was sitting on a tombstone, dressed all in white except for its head, which was uncovered. They described it as the most horrible face that they had ever seen. It was decaying and covered in dirt and maggots. That night, as the little girl was lying in her bed and attempting to go to sleep, she kept hearing a low ghostly groan. She then felt a chilly breeze, as her curtains moved slightly although the window was shut tight. She then could smell the odor of decaying flesh. She pulled the covers over her head, and put the pillow over her head, to attempt to drown out the sound of the moaning, of what could only be a sorrowful spirit or ghost. The next morning, the girl told her mother that she had taken the ghost's white cap by mistake. Mr. Jones, who lived next door, overheard the little girl and her mother talking. He declared that the only way to avoid the ghost's curse was for the little girl to replace on the white cap she had stolen from it. That night, a crowd collected in the churchyard, and the little girl, shaking with fear, stepped forward and placed the white cap on the tombstone where the ghost had been sitting the previous 2 days. The little girl recoiled in disgust and asked the ghost, "Are you satisfied now?" "No," screamed the ghost, as it took hold of her with its bony fingers and dragged her down into the grave beneath it. The ghost and the little girl were never seen again.